Hello, I'm Ashley and welcome to my space here. I'm going to be doing my angel or my healing reading for you today. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the tarot. I would like to remind you that gender does not apply here. I do use like he or she or like masculine and feminine, but remember we have both those inside of us. So try to not take things personally. Another thing I recommend when coming to this channel and watching these readings is to stay open-minded, to stay open-hearted. I set the intention that the messages you're seeking are answered, and so if you would like to set a little intention, ask for a little answer, or just connect with your guides, you can ask like a personal question, or you can ask like that you receive like a totem, so you can like choose like an animal or a word or a number, and just keep yourself open to that throughout the reading. I set the intention that this is timeless, so whenever it reaches you, it's meant for you, so don't put a time on this. Some messages may resonate and some may not, so just take what applies. And above all else, trust your intuition. Try to use this as a tool to develop your own intuition, and to just whatever comes up for you is what you're meant to receive right now. So trust. That's what we're going to set the intention for today. Is just trust yourself. Trust that you're here watching this for a reason. Trust your own guidance. So with that being said, let's take a few deep breaths before we go ahead and start, just to clear our energy. I've already set the intention, that my angels and guides are here with me. They're here with you as well, surrounding you, protecting you, especially in these like challenging or difficult times. It can feel kind of isolating, or it can feel kind of full of anxiety and fear and uncertainty. So I'm with you. I feel you. The angels are with you. And I intend that you feel their presence through this video. So all you have to do is receive their transmission and be open to the guidance that is coming through me. So let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths. In through the nose and try to hold at the top. And exhale. We'll do two more. In through the nose. Hold. Exhale through the mouth. And last one, in through the nose. Hold. And exhale through the mouth. Perfect. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with the tarot. See what the angels have to say. What do we need to know right now? What are we healing right now? Let's ask that. Okay, too many fell out there. What are we healing right now, angels? What are we healing right now? Okay, these three wanted to come out, so let's go ahead and take them. We have the Queen of Swords, which I love this energy. This is Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, so air signs, but that does not have to apply. Remember, this is an aspect of us, so we all have this energy within us. This would be like our intellect. This would be like our communication. So our ability to communicate. This is about setting boundaries. The Queen of the Queen of Swords is always about setting boundaries to me. So it's also a card of authenticity and really being true to who you are, speaking your truth. So I feel like that's kind of what's coming up for a lot of people, is expression. That's the word I see, and I'm really connected to this color blue. I've been really connected and drawn to the color blue. So I'm picking up right away in the throat chakra. I'm wearing blue even today. How perfect. The throat chakra, which is associated with Archangel Gabriel, and he helps us to open up our throat chakras so that we can express ourselves, so that we can express our feelings. So if you think of the Queen of Swords, you can kind of think of somebody who's like witty, funny. This is like also can be very like just very powerful with words. This is a card of intention. I see the word intention. I'm seeing the third eye, and like you see how she has the sword. The sword just represents to me like being clear cut, like knowing exactly what you want, and like placing your attention on that, like focusing your attention on what you desire, rather than like, she doesn't get distracted by petty little things outside of her. She's sitting on her throne and she's like very direct. It's the Queen of Swords, so she's direct, which I love that energy. She knows what she wants. She doesn't take any shit, and she just cuts anything out that is not serving her. This is bad habits, excuse me, but my throat chakra, that seriously will come up. So that's what I'm picking up very strongly. It's like cutting things out that aren't working for you. This is even about how you speak about yourself. So this is about really checking your internal dialogue. So during this time of challenge, during this time of difficulty, during this time of isolation, focus on your language. Are you being very pessimistic? Are you complaining about things a lot? Are you talking about your worries? Are you activating your worries? Because as soon as you talk about them, you're literally creating them. I'm not saying to repress them. If you have something that's really bothering you and you need to speak to somebody, like speak to like a therapist or a healer or a friend, a close friend, or a loved one, definitely make sure you set boundaries and make sure it's an appropriate time for you to be able to express your feelings. Make sure that make sure they have the space and the mental capacity to receive what you need to speak about. So I'm not saying to repress anything, but I'm saying to be careful about what you're talking about. Are you judging? Are you gossiping? That's what I'm picking up on. A lot of people are gossiping or trolling and judging, like on the internet. So this is really important when it comes to communication, because this is our center of creation. And the queen, the queens are the embodiment. So really being the embodiment of your truth, being the embodiment of really getting true to what's your inner voice. Like, listen for your inner voice, because our ego and our inner voice are two different voices. So the ego is going to sound very mean. The ego is going to try to put you down. The ego is going to try to wear on your self-esteem. The ego is going to, make you search for the fear. The ego is going to tell you all these things that are going to happen, and it's going to make you feel really bad about yourself, or it's going to make you feel like anxious or have an anxiety attack. So this is really important to place your mind on what you do want. So this is about cultivating faith. So really focusing your mind on wellness, really focusing your mind on peace. I always see the Queen of Swords as kind of like this energy of peace, like she's a peaceful warrior, because she can be stone cold silent. She uses her words with intention. Her words are powerful. Her words mean things to her. So she doesn't just use her words willy-nilly. She's very particular about what she says and how she says it. She says what she means, and she means what she says. So it's really important to get in tune to that inner voice, that voice that's compassionate and consoling and nurturing and loving. And it's also like going to, I don't want to say like put you in your place, but it's going to create structure in your life. And it's going to make you like stick to these boundaries that you have. So you're not going to allow people to walk all over you. The Queen of Swords definitely does not let people walk all over her. She stands her ground. That's another important thing, is to stand your ground, to really voice your beliefs and voice your opinions, but not in like a demeaning or condescending or like a very rigid way. This is just saying to stand up for yourself when you need to. And if you don't need to say anything, then don't say anything at all. It's perfectly okay to stay quiet. But I'm really picking up on communication here, and communicating about things that are like bringing you joy. Communicate, like compliment other people, voice your opinions, like voice your love towards your loved ones. Use your voice to give love, use your voice to give compliments, use your voice to spread peace. Our voice and our communication is so powerful, and it's really a way that we can either wage war or we can wage peace. And I think communication is huge. If you look at it from a global aspect and the things that are happening in our country, we could really solve a lot of our world problems if we had better communication. And so I feel like that's what the Queen of Swords is teaching us right now. That's what she's coming to heal right now. So even if you're like in close quarters with people, and this is really, like, and you don't have a lot of boundaries and your boundaries are being crossed, this can make you want to get, the Queen of Swords can be kind of like she can be kind of like, she can get really like cold. So like she can just like cut people off. So it's really important to like be aware of this energy within yourself. Like, when do you want to like snap back at people, or when do you want to cut people with your words? And really learning how to restrain yourself from that instead of reacting, learning to respond from a place of stillness. I think of the Queen of Swords, and I think of stillness. I just think of the air. You know how the air can be really still, or it can cut you like it's bitter cold. That's kind of like, think of the Queen of Swords. It's the element of air. So you might want to connect to the wind. You might want to connect to the air. You might want to just connect to the sky. This will maybe help you to and connect to your breath, which is really important. So I really like the Queen of Swords here. So that's what we're learning to heal. And then with the two that came out with it, we had the Six of Cups, which I really like this. This is a card of love. This is a card of forgiveness. This is a card of like reciprocity. So like equal give and take in relationships. It's a balanced relationship. This could like be about soulmate connections. This is a very like innocent, nurturing love. So it could be like kindred spirits. But yeah, I'm picking up on this like innocence. This is like a card of nostalgia. So maybe instead of like you might like things might be coming up from the past right now. So instead of like reacting and responding, especially with your words from the past, like really using this time for like self forgiveness and learning how to learning like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that during this time, and then like practicing self forgiveness. This is also, I'm seeing the word compassion, so self compassion and really being gentle, like treating yourself like you would a gentle child. So if you find yourself complaining or you find yourself like reacting harshly to certain things and you find yourself using your words to hurt people or to cut people down, this is really a time of forgiveness. So and there's more blue on the card. This is also yellow, so this could be like our power center. And I always see the lilies, and I always see them as peace lilies because this is also a card of peace to me. So we've had peace come up twice. And honestly, I'm just really feeling peace. You might be working with Ascended Master Buddha. He really helps us to find peace in the present moment, to find, despite what's going on externally, because like we can't just have peace when things are all kosher and like we have our environment is perfect. Because if you think about a lot of people, they don't have the perfect environment. Maybe especially right now, their home is filled with a lot of chaos. Maybe they were able to avoid when things were, when they were working, or, they were able to get out and about, but now they're in close quarters, and this can cause a lot of like friction. It can cause a lot of tension. And it's saying to like really see each other through the eyes of innocence rather than through the eyes of like what's going on externally, which is really affecting your internal world. So like I'm saying, you have to learn how to cultivate peace when times are not peaceful at all. That's how we learn to cultivate peace, is by being met with challenging circumstances, like circumstances that aren't that great, and being able to remain at peace, being able to remain optimistic, being able to remain compassionate and forgiving and loving towards people. Because also with that, fell out was this Five of Pentacles, and this is an energy of lack. This is an energy of like being left out in the cold. This is like abandonment wounds. This is like poverty consciousness. So like feeling like your needs aren't going to be met, or feeling like you're missing out, or feeling like, like you're going to be left out in the cold. This is fears of rejection. So where this is like an innocent love, like you want to meet love from this place of innocence, like rather than this is from like your wounding. You see how one is very light and bright and the other one's kind of dark. This is kind of like the energy I'm feeling collectively for all of us. It's like we're going in between, like we want to be very forgiving, and we want to be very loving, and we want to be kind, and we want to be like, this is like a card of friendship, so we want to be very friendly. And then the other part fears, we deeply fear this rejection. We deeply fear that if we show this love, and if we're loving and we're open and we're caring, then we might be rejected, because we're used to just being, like maybe we've been rejecting ourselves, maybe been really harsh towards ourselves. And so this is really saying to focus, rather than focusing on this lack and this rejection and this like isolation almost, is to focus on like community, to focus on forgiveness, to focus on love, and focus on generosity. That's another word I hear. So like really focusing on where can I give more. And if you want more love in your life, if you want more finances or more abundance or more financial freedom, where can you be more giving? Where can you really use your own value to create this this abundance in your life? So it's not just about what can I give material wise. It's like, what can I give? What energy can I give? Can I be more loving? Can I be more respectful? Can I be more kind? Can I be more generous? How much, like that's your energy. Think of your energy as money, as a bank. So your energy is an exchange, and this is like an exchange, And if you want more peace, can I be more peaceful towards people? Can I be more open? If you want people to be more open towards you, can you be more open? And really looking at yourself and really using this time as a mirror to look at where we can be more generous. Because that's kind of what I'm picking up here. Where can I help people that are lacking? And where can I give? Because when we give, then we open up to receive. And sometimes we hold on. This is kind of like a card of like holding on to the past and like holding on to things that aren't serving you. But as soon as you like let go of these things, you can even see this is like affecting this person's health. This person's on crutches. This could be about like anxiety. This could be about depression. This could be about like fears of like scarcity, like you're not going to have enough food, or these might be problems that you're worrying about. And what I'm picking up on a lot, because this is about past life too, this is about a past life scenario. Maybe you've experienced poverty in a past lifetime, and the scenarios that are happening in the world today are actually triggering this past lifetime. So that, because a lot of people, we came, especially if you're in America, and if you like, how there's just a lot of people that are just barely getting by. So there's like people that are very wealthy, and then there's people that are just, most people are just barely getting by, in my opinion. There are a majority of Americans that are just getting by. And like, so this is like a huge fear that's coming up for people. Like, am I going to be able to provide for myself financially? And it's bringing up a lot of fears of like being poor or being left out in the cold, or like loss. This is a card of loss. This is a card of like, it could be like a card of grief, of just not feeling good enough, like basing your value off what you have in the material world. And that's what a lot of people have been taught, is that like, if they don't, okay, so what, in my opinion, if you have peace, if you have compassion, if you have forgiveness, if you have love, those are all things that you can exchange. Those are like your internal bank. And that's what brings value to your life. That's what gives you this sense of fulfillment. Whereas like when we base what we have, and when we base our worth off if we have a home, if we base our worth off if we have a good job, if we base our worth off how much money we have in our bank account, the kind of car we have, the kind of clothes we wear, the kind of food we have, if we base our worth off that, if that was all to be taken away, our sense of identity would kind of go with it. Our sense of value, our sense of worth would kind of go with it. And this is kind of a big fear for people right now. So in my opinion, what we're learning how to do is really learn how to generate this feeling of giving and receiving. And what can we give in order to receive more of? Like, if we want more love in our lives, then we need to be more loving. If we want more kindness in our lives, we need to be more kind. So if we want more peace in our lives, we need to be more peaceful. So we act as a magnet to receive those things. And we have to believe that they will come. We have to believe that we're worthy of receiving them. And that's probably the hardest part, is to really believe that you're worthy of it. Because a lot of us have these wounds, these rejection and abandonment wounds from childhood, that keep us from believing that we're worthy of prosperity, that keep us from believing that we're worthy of a home, that we're worthy of a family, that we're worthy of connection, that we're worthy of love and peace and like wellness and well-being and health. Like, we have to believe that we're worthy of health. Because that's another thing. Are you complaining about your health? Are you okay? Like, another thing is like talking about the coronavirus, or talking about like ailments or diseases in your body, or talking about getting sick. The more you use your voice to talk about it, the more you're going to create it. The more you're going to create your poverty. The more you talk about how poor you are, or how broke you are, or how there's not enough around, there's not enough, you're creating that. So we're going to create more of it. But what we're really trying to do is learn how to focus our intention on the abundance that we have, even if it's the smallest thing. So right now, I feel like the biggest thing right now is to focus on the smallest things. What can you give thanks for? What can you place your attention on? Even if it's the dumbest, smallest thing, give thanks for it. And that will really switch your mentality and really start to open your mind. When we open our minds, we begin to open our hearts. And I think more now than ever, our world needs open hearts. Okay, Spirit, what is going on behind the scenes that we're not seeing clearly? Okay, I'm going to take this because it feels relevant. This is the Moon card. So the Moon is like our fear. So our fears are being illuminated right now. This card is represented by Scorpio. So that might apply to you. You might be a Scorpio, or somebody you know may be a Scorpio, but that doesn't have to apply. This is just represented by, to me, the Moon is always a representation of our subconscious mind. So it's a very feminine energy. The Moon is represented by the feminine energy, and the Sun is represented by the masculine energy. So the feminine energy is like shadow. It's our shadow. Which kind of reminds me of this, kind of like this darkness. So these are our fears. So this is very important. So as we're in this time of change and we're in this time of uncertainty, our fears are going to be shown up. And we can't see this as something that's bad. We have to begin to discern. That's kind of like the Queen of Swords. Discern with your sword. What are the voices of my ego and my fears? And what are the voices of truth and my soul? And really begin to just differentiate between the two and kind of discard what isn't yours. So like what happens when we're children is our subconscious mind is like kind of like a recording program. Think of it like it's like I don't want to say like a robot, but it's like so you're just recording things. So from ages 0 to 6, your mind is just acting as, okay, so let's say you do something and your parent like scolds you or punishes you and says, what you did was wrong, and they tell you you're bad. That was a bad boy, or you were a bad girl, and what happens is you don't really take it personally as a kid. It's data. So then your ego mind comes in and it records. I am bad. And then there's this voice that plays in your head for the rest of your life that says, I am bad. So what happens when we're adults is what we need to learn to do is begin to decide what voices are true and what voices are lies, because those lies could end up running our entire lives, our whole entire lives, and we could think that we're bad. We could think that there's something wrong with us. We could think that, some people have, some parents call their children names like bastards or bitches, or they comment on their weight and call them fat, or they call them stupid, and this records in your child's mind. And what's really important to remember is that even if you don't think your child hears you, they hear you, even if you're talking to your friend and they overhear you, it's like, goes back to the Queen of Swords. And what are you talking about? If you're talking shit about your own kid in front of them, and a lot of parents do this unconsciously, so there's no judgment here. I'm not judging you. There's this day and age where people are like, oh yeah, my kid's an asshole, or, then they say these things, and it's like, your kid will begin to say, their ego mind will come in, I am an asshole. I am a bitch, I am fat, I am stupid, and this will repeat and play over in their head over and over again. So your words, like I said in the beginning, your words are powerful. They store in your subconscious mind, and those words might be coming out louder than ever right now because your soul is wanting to expand, your soul is coming up. That's what we're awakening right now. So our soul is coming up, and its voice it wants to be heard, and so it's going to try to give you energies of love, and it's going to tell you how lovable you are and how worthy you are and how perfect and beautiful you are. And your ego will come in and it'll be like, nope, remember when this person said this? And this voice will play as a computer program over and over in your mind. It will try to override your soul. So what we have to do is begin to create time, and we create stillness, and we create peace, and we begin to hear the voices of our soul, and we begin to see that we are just the observers of these fearful thoughts, that we are not these fearful thoughts. We begin to see that these emotions, that maybe when we were called fat in school, maybe we had emotions that came with that. And so what happens is when we're sitting in that stillness and we hear those words, maybe those memories come back and we want to start crying. This is perfectly okay. This is going to help you to release these fears, and then they won't have such a strong hold over you anymore. They won't be playing in your voice. They won't be playing in your head like a loud voice over on repeat, that will sabotage you from seeking that love or seeking those connections that bring you that feeling of equal give and take, that reciprocal love and reciprocal connection. So what will happen is that emotion will come up for you to be released, and then you realize that you are the observer of the thoughts. You are the observer of the emotions. You are not them. And then you begin to detach yourself from these things. And the Queen of Swords is kind of like a queen of detachment. So it's not having, so once you get rid of the high emotional charge to a memory, it becomes wisdom. And then it doesn't have it's you're not a prisoner to it anymore. You free yourself from it, and you can use it to help yourself grow, to help yourself understand yourself more. And in return, we understand other people more. And so the fears that are inside other people that may, when you judge somebody, or you gossip about them, or you don't like something they've done, or you have to see that what you're judging in that person is an unmet aspect of yourself. Because we are all one, and if we don't begin to start seeing humanity and even the worst people on earth, like the murderers and the rapists and, whatever, you have to see them as part of you, that there is a part of you inside of you that could become just as awful as that person had you been born in their environment, had you been born in their experience, had you been born into their life, and we have to begin to see ourselves as one. And this is our shadow aspect. A lot of us don't like to see the darkness, and what happens is, going back to the children reference, because the reason we would call our children names and the reason we would talk shit about our children is because we heard our parents do that to us, or we heard them say things about us, and we begin to think that's normal because we learn how to parent from the way our parents parented us. So if you're really wanting to get into conscious parenting and you're really wanting to look at your own parenting styles, if that's something that you feel called to do, and it's really looking back at your past, to look back at your parents, to look back at your grandparents and see, do some family research. This is our subconscious mind, and when I think of the subconscious mind, I think of roots, and they're dark and they're deep and there are roots. So it's there are habits. They're formed from ages 0 to 6 because that's where our subconscious mind stores our habits. Our habits are stored in our subconscious mind. So everything that we've learned from our parents is stored in our subconscious mind. And to really get back into that, I used meditation practice. I would dedicate, a lot of my practice, just sitting and being and observing my mind, observing the, because like I was saying with the nostalgia, with the Six of Cups, it can bring up a lot of past memories. So this can be past memories from childhood that like maybe we want to like deny or reject, which is totally like this Five of Pentacles, or like kind of leave that aspect of us out in the cold because it was denied, and we don't want to bring it into the light. But as soon as we bring it into the light, then we heal like these fears of rejection, and we heal these fears of abandonment, because we're truly allowing our whole aspect of ourselves to be seen. Because a lot of us, we only allow our light self to be seen. We only allow the goodness because we don't want people to judge our mistakes, or we don't want people to judge our not so worthy aspects of ourselves. But they're all worthy in their own aspects. We have to treat them like they're our little children. So going back to the little children thing, and you know how like a lot of people will see only they will like demonize their child, so they'll only see like, oh, my kid's such a demon, or my kid, like I was saying, like an asshole, or they'll only see the monster in their child. And what's happening is what they're doing is projecting their own demonized self onto the child. It has nothing to do with the child. The child is pure innocence, pure light from God. It is God. Our children are God. So if you can't see the God in children, it's because you're not seeing the God in yourself. If you can't see the innocence and the purity in children, it's because you can't see the innocence and purity within yourself. So when we like demonize our children, what we're demonizing are these aspects within ourself that we haven't yet accepted, and they're being shown to us. Our children are a huge reflection. They are a mirror. They are our teachers. So as much as we have, like, a lot of parents have this belief that they become very identified with their children. They play this role of the parent, and there's this aspect of parenting. There's two aspects of parenting. It's the doing aspect and the being aspect of parenting. A lot of parents, they don't incorporate the being aspect of parenting, and they are only telling their children what to do. They're only protecting them. They're only, do this and that, and, like, do as I say and not as I do. That was kind of like my dad's favorite parenting trick, or words he always said to us: do as I say, not as I do. But children mimic you. They do what you do. They learn from you. They're behavior analysis, so they watch you. They watch you all the time. They watch how you talk to your body. They watch how you talk to your friends. They watch how you talk to your husband, or vice versa. They watch how you talk to your wife. They watch how you treat them. They watch how you eat. They watch how you speak. They watch everything, and then they just mimic you. They're just a mirror. So the things you don't want to accept in your children are an aspect of you that you don't want to accept about yourself, and this will bring up a lot of darkness. And a lot of people don't want to accept this. This is a new style of parenting, and really using your children as your mirrors to help you to grow and to regulate your own emotions and to kind of heal your own past. So that's what we're not seeing clearly, is there's lots of fears being shown up. But really these are just teaching you to accept your, because we can't accept our fullness if we don't accept our darkness. And the fact is that all of us have those thoughts, those negative thoughts. All of us, those aren't going to go away. We all have negative thoughts. We all have bad thoughts. We all have thoughts of, if you really sit down, you'll have those thoughts. But they're not who you are. You have to remember that your thoughts are not who you are. Your thoughts are a direct result of the frequency and the emotional state that you're in. So if you're in a state of peace, you're going to generate more feeling or more thoughts of peace. If you're in a constant state of despair, if you're in an energy of lack and depression, you're going to attract more thoughts that are lower based thoughts. You're going to attract more fearful thoughts. So it's really important to get in tune to your emotions, because that would be the moon too, because it's our feminine energy. So really using your emotions to teach you more about what you're dealing with right now, or what's coming up for you. So like some emotional healing. All right, what else do we need to know with the moon here, what we're not seeing clearly? Okay, yes, the Six of Wands. So this is a card, whenever I see this card, it's a card of victory. So you might be focusing, the moon might be like illuminating places where you've like failed in the past, or where you could have done better, or where you've messed up, or where you hurt people. Like that's kind of what I'm picking up on. And this is like saying to practice compassion, because you will be victorious. Like you are going to succeed. Whatever you're hoping to move beyond right now will be successful. Like your endeavors will be successful. Your connections will be successful. It's like focusing more on your victories. Like rather than focusing on what you've done in the past, that's what I'm kind of getting. It's like people are really learning how to leave the past in the past and not because when you live in the present moment, you don't drag the past into the present moment. You're allowed. The only time you can be present is by accepting the present moment as it is, for what it is, even if you feel like you don't have anything, in the present moment. Like, there's always something. Presence is just really acceptance of what is. And when we can really be in that energy of like victory, and like, rather than focusing on your failures or your past mistakes, you can be like, like, I am victorious, like I am, successful, and like repeating those affirmations during this time of like, when your voices of your ego might be roaring up and being like, I'm a loser, or I'm a reject, or I'm an asshole. Maybe that's playing in your head because maybe your parent called you an asshole, or maybe your ex-girlfriend called you an asshole all the time, Instead of playing those voices on repeat, shifting your internal dialogue and focusing on your success. Like, I am successful, I am powerful, I am prosperous. Like, just really using that to bring you into this energy of like light. Like, you have to really, because your soul is the light and your ego is the dark. So what you really want to do, it's not about overpowering the ego. It's about meeting it from this place of like, I will be victorious and I will reign supreme over you someday, and you'll work together. So you'll end up working together with your ego. You want to work in harmony with your ego. You want to meet your ego with perfect, because what this card fell out was the Empress. You want to meet your ego like a mother. So what happens when we like demonize our child, and I was kind of going back up, we call them an asshole or whatever, we're really just like projecting that part of, what we don't like onto the child. And what we really need to do is really learn to nurture that part. So when your kid's being a little bit of an asshole, right? And they're throwing a tantrum, what they're really seeking is connection. What they're really seeking is nurturing, so they want this mother aspect of you. So that's what our children really come to do, is to really teach us how to be better mothers, right? And if we're not willing to grow from our relationship with our children, then we're going to stay stuck, and we're going to pass that same wounding onto them, and the cycle will just continue. So this is about really nurturing your ego. And you can think of our children as our egos. And we can really learn to nurture our egos by, like I was saying, positive affirmations, really taking really good care of yourself. This is like all the queens in one. So being very romantic and loving and caring, like the Queen of Cups, and being very grounded and nurturing and focusing on your health and your mind and your body with the Queen of Pentacles, and really focusing on your creativity and your sexuality and your sensuality, which would be like the Queen of Wands, and really working on embodying, or like the Queen of Swords, using healthy communication, especially in relationships, especially as a mother or with children, really using your communication and being aware, conscious of the words you're speaking, because they have a very big impact on your child. They have a very big impact on your environment. They have a very big impact on your relationships. And if you're only communicating from a place of woundedness from your childhood, then you're going to react very harshly. You're going to constantly be on the defense. And you see here, she's not on the defense. She's very open. She's very lush. This is represented by, like this is the energy of like Venus. So the energy of like love and money and abundance. And like, this is an energy of fertility. So I love that this came up, because I was feeling conscious parenting like no other. So I really like this energy. It's like really learning how to become this divine mother. She is the divine mother. She's like the aspect of us that nurtures and loves and cares, and this aspect is both in the male and the female. It's just about accessing this aspect of yourself. And really, this is like the divine feminine. Like I was saying with the moon represents the divine feminine energy. So we had the divine feminine come up strongly here. Think of Mother Earth when you think of her. You might want to connect to Earth, and you see Mother Earth. And we can see this, like, we might have fears that, like, the Earth is going to, like, she's really struggling right now. And I came to be, like, an advocate for Mother Earth, like, to speak for the animals, and to speak for, her, and to speak for nature, and to speak for the things that are really being affected by our own subconscious mind right now. And we're really creating our reality from these past fears. And so we're creating from fear, and we'll end up creating more fear. But this is a card, too, to me, of, like, integrity, and really learning to live with integrity. And that means just like living true to your own beliefs and living in alignment with your truth. And that's like the Queen of Swords, is really getting to know your truth. What is your truth? Really learning to discern what is your soul, what is your ego. And really living with integrity means living with your soul, in my opinion. Living at peace within yourself, living in harmony with yourself. And that's really what the Earth needs, because she will heal herself. She will heal herself but we have to heal ourselves first. And as we do that, we'll help her to heal herself. And so this is really getting in tune to like just our mother energy. This could be like mother healing. So if you had any mother healing or mother wounds growing up, like maybe your mother was kind of cold, or maybe she was distant, or maybe she was one of those moms that calls you names, or that just wasn't very nurturing or very caring. And this could be like you're learning, because your mother wasn't like that, she actually became your greatest teacher to teach you how to love yourself. And so this is a card of self-love. This is a card of self-care, self-nurturing, self-compassion, and just being that mother for yourself in this time of fear. And you will be victorious. You will come out of this victorious. You will come out of this like, it might feel like a storm right now, but out of the storm you'll be made into this like empress. I love the empress energy. It's beautiful. And I just feel like this is a huge message about Mother Earth and like our ecosystem, and really taking care of yourself, nurturing yourself, eating more vegetables, fruits and vegetables, ground yourself to earth, doing more meditations, doing more things that make you feel at peace. She feels at peace. She's guided by her intuition. She feels stable. She feels strong because she has her divine masculine energy with her as well. So she can build a very strong foundation for her family, for her home, for her communities. Because we need to think not just like in our selfish minds, but also to think like global, and what can we do in our small lives, in our little mundane lives, that will impact the greater good. Like, where can we consume less? Where can we be more like at-home makers? Where can we make our own food? Where can we make our own clothes? Where can, like getting really back to our roots, getting back to the earth. And when we reconnect with her, we feel very abundant. This is a card of abundance. This is a card of manifestation. It's also number 3. So you might be seeing 333 a lot, or 111. That's a card of manifestation. It's a number of manifestation. It's a number of focused intention, which would also be like the Queen of Swords. So really creating this is like, think of your womb space, like creating this own sacred space within yourself, and also maybe in your home. Like, where can you go to like maybe sit on a pillow? Maybe you're surrounded by plants, or you have crystals, or maybe there's a spot near the water, because there's water here, that you can go and you can just meditate. And meditation doesn't mean like you sit in meditation pose and you and it's stuff. It's just being present. Meditation is really just being present. So like mindfulness practices, getting out in nature and just feeling your feet connect to the earth, feeling the wind on your skin, feeling the sunshine down on you, like that's meditation. So try not to take it so like esoteric. It's not like this strict, like you have to sit in meditation pose and you have to sit up straight. It's just about being present with yourself, being present with your body. She loves her body. She's present in her body. She takes care of her body. Her body is a vessel. So it's really important now. And as you do that, you'll be very, victorious. You'll create this abundance. You'll create this prosperity. You'll create this very solid foundation for yourself. So there's no need to worry as much as like the fears might be coming up. It's really about nurturing those fears and treating those fears like you would a little baby. And as you do that and you treat your fears like that, then they don't have to have tantrums anymore, and like you will see that especially in parenting, like as you begin to meet your children from a new energy, from a new perspective, and you begin to not lash out at them because you're not lashing, because what's happening is if you lash out on your kid for having a strong emotional reaction, it's that same emotional reaction within you that was lashed out on, and so you repress that, and now they're triggering that emotion within you. And if you can't handle it, and if you begin to meet it with this energy of compassion and this energy of like this mother, and you meet this tantrum from a place of understanding and compassion and empathy, then you really begin to dissolve any further blow-ups or like huge tantrums, because what your job is to diffuse it, right? Because a lot of women, you see this even in their relationships, instead of diffusing arguments by like taking a few minutes to walk away, taking a few deep breaths, or by communicating in a gentle, soft way, they'll put fuel on the fire, and they'll start a fight with their spouse, or they'll create more of a blow up with their toddler, because instead of meeting them with this compassion, this love, and this understanding, they meet them from their wounds, and they react from their wounds, and then that wound begins to reflect back at them. So it's really important to see how you're acting and reacting to certain situations, and where can you be more motherly towards yourself. when you notice yourself wanting to blow up, or you feel yourself wanting to be pushed over the edge, where can you nurture yourself? Where can you say, okay, I need to go take a few minutes for myself. Maybe I need to take a bath. Maybe I need to take just a breather. Maybe I need to dance for a little bit. Maybe I just need to listen to some music. Maybe I just need to do something just for me. Maybe I need to make myself a smoothie. Maybe I need to make myself a nice meal, whatever it is. Maybe I need to get out and go for a walk. And this also includes asking for help, maybe from your partners or from families or from friends, like, you're not in this alone. And I feel like a lot of people feel like they're in parenting alone, and like they feel like people are judging them, and so then they don't ask for help, or they kind of stay stuck in this misery and like, poor me. It's like this victim mindset, but it's like, you're not a victim. You came to learn from your child. And the only way we can give our children the most love and the most care is by giving ourselves that love and care. And we tend, as mothers, there's this martyr mentality that's like, I have to put everyone before me, and then I have to feel bad because, or like they use this as an excuse, well, I work all the time, or I take care of the children all the time, or I cook and I clean all the time. And it's just like, if you would stop and you would place boundaries, and you would speak up and you would say, I come first, my mental health comes first, my emotional health comes first, my physical health comes first, and if that means you have to get up a little bit earlier, and you have to create a sacred space and a sacred time for just you, then you have to commit to it, and you have to be dedicated to it in order to fill your own cup, so that you can overflow for your children, so that you can overflow for your partnership, so that you can overflow for your job, so that you can overflow for your friends, so that you can overflow for your community, and that's really what the Empress teaches us, is to really nurture and care for ourselves, and not use it as an excuse, like, oh, I have to do this and this and this. And it's like, no, your first priority is yourself. And if you need to cut some things out of your life, some unnecessary, maybe you need to not watch Netflix as much. Maybe you need to not, do things that aren't really productive, or like scroll your phone all the time. Maybe you could use that time you're using to scroll your phone to do some yoga and fill your cup, or to write in your journal and fill your cup, or to make yourself feel good, or to make yourself a nice meal, or, to do something for yourself, And then as we begin to find those little pockets of time where we can really begin to fill ourselves up, then when we are parenting, we're doing it from a place of love, from connection to source, rather than connection to our wounds, and from this energy of depletion and lack, which would totally be this energy. And when we can, relate to our children from a more like innocent place, they teach us how to get back to our innocence, how to get back to our purity. And a lot of us don't like that part of ourselves, because we've been taught through society that it's not valuable. And actually, it's the most valuable part of us, and it's actually what will create the most prosperity in our lives and the most abundance in our lives, financially and in a love sense, and in a peace sense, because they're always in the present moment, and they're filled with love. They are literally a conduit for love. We all are, and it's that aspect of when we can get back in touch with that aspect of ourselves that we become a conduit of love and understanding. Okay, lastly, what is your advice for us right now, Spirit? Okay, yes, here we go. More fear. This is the 9 of Swords. So this is insomnia. This is like despair, not being able to sleep at night. This is this is a lot of anxiety. This is nightmares. This could be like panic attacks. So if you're having any of those, please be gentle with yourself. That's totally the Empress. So you need to be nurturing yourself. You need to be caring for yourself. Meditation is great for this. You could listen to guided meditations for sleep. Try cutting out things like caffeine. I am drinking coffee, but I like to drink decaf because I've noticed caffeine gives me a lot of anxiety. It makes me feel very jittery. So like pops, try not to drink pop before bed, or like any like sort of like lots of sugar. Try not to drink eat or drink lots of sugar before bed. This will make you feel trouble sleeping. My mom and I have been doing some yoga, like a bedtime yoga sequences before bed, and this can help with like being able to sleep a little bit easier. So I'm just picking up, and this is normal. There's a lot of, the energy is fluctuating right now, and the energy is kind of going back and forth. And so this will affect people's sleep schedule. So if you find yourself like not being able to sleep, or you have trouble sleeping through the night, you might have nightmares. Even if you don't remember them, you might be waking up in like a panic, or you might be waking up with your heart racing. And that's totally okay. Like, be easy with yourself, be gentle with yourself, but try to also help yourself. So do some meditation before bed, do some yoga before bed, do some dancing before bed. Really ground yourself before bed. I found that's really important for me to sleep well throughout the night is to really ground myself to nature, to like do some yoga, or to just connect my feet, or to touch my body, to do like practice some sensuality. To take a nice hot salt bath maybe before bed will help you to relax. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of picking up there. So that's the advice. What else is your advice with this 9 of Swords, Spirit? Interesting. 3 of Swords. This is some intense energy. This is more Swords energy. So more Gemini, Libra, Aquarius energy, but does not have to apply. This is like stabbing yourself in the heart with your own thoughts. So this is like really focusing on past heartbreak. This is here, you see the 3 again. So 333 or 111. And yeah, you can see how the clouds are kind of stormy in the background and the swords are just like piercing the heart. So this is like inflicting your own pain with those fearful thoughts, which would totally be this. So it's like this like anxiety is leading to these thoughts of heartbreak, or you might be thinking of past times when you hurt somebody, and this makes you feel hurt, or you might think of the past times when you've been hurt by other people. And it might just be bringing up a lot of anxiety or make you feel like you're not good enough, or, you know. So this is like intense energy. Okay, Spirit, what else is your advice here with this 9 of Swords and this 3 of Swords? Wow. The Devil. Okay, so this is represented by Capricorn. This is very intense energy, guys. So this is the advice, is to be aware of the Devil. Like I said, this is kind of like our ego. So we had the Moon come up, that's lots of fear. We had the Devil come up, that's more fear. We had the 9 of Swords come up, that's fear. And then this 5 of Pentacles is like really like, you see how it's like dark energy too. It's like lack. So this is like our addictions. Like I was saying, caffeine or sugar, those are addictions, or social media. Try not to scroll the internet before you go to sleep, right before you go to sleep. That's really not good for you. That will really bring your vibration down, and it will make you have trouble sleeping. So if you find yourself on the internet if you're in bed and you're scrolling, yeah, try to cut that out, or like try not to watch the news or the TV right before you go to bed. This will really fuel your fear, and it will have you trouble sleeping. And when we have trouble sleeping, we don't take very good care of ourselves. You know, we're tired, we're exhausted, and so we try to take shortcuts, or we try to take easy way outs. We're just trying to help ourselves be relieved of this fear, to be relieved of this pain, to be relieved of this heartbreak, to be relieved of this the Devil energy. And so yeah, I feel like it's just really important to switch up your habits before bedtime, or even in the morning, you know, to like get some exercise. This will help you sleep. If you exercise, I've noticed this, like I might have trouble sleeping if I don't exercise, because it helps you use up that energy before bed, or, you know, it just helps you feel worn out throughout the day, especially in isolation. People like maybe aren't being as active as much, and you can be just as active at home. Like I've been working out for years in my home. I just do workouts like through Fitness Blender, and this really helps me to just use up that energy so that I feel like a little bit more tired when I go to bed. But otherwise you'll like be up all night and you'll be thinking of fearful thoughts and you might have trouble sleeping. So that's what I'm kind of picking up there is, yeah, that's some harsh energy for the advice. But then underneath the deck is Page of Wands. So that's just like staying optimistic. This is about like adventure and like, yeah, just staying positive and focusing on kind of like the good that's surrounding you, or there's the good that you feel coming towards you. It's just about being optimistic. Okay, let's get some clarifiers here from the angels and ancestors. Listening to gentle, soothing music before bed or while you go to sleep would be good too, to help you to sleep a little bit better. Yeah, there's just like we're learning how to be gentle with ourselves as this fear arises. Like, how are we going to handle this fear? Are we going to fuel it with our fire and we're going to like create more fear, or are we going to like be really gentle towards it and like dissolve and dissipate it from, you know, keeping us stuck in these addictions? Because that's the devil too. This is like addictive behavior. This is like feeling bound, feeling trapped, feeling powerless. But you do have power. All right, so what do we need to know with this Queen of Swords, Six of Cups, and Five of Pentacles? Spirit. All right, we have Shield Maiden. Make plans and focus. And I love this because we have the Queen of Swords and she's holding a sword there. I will read this. Because to me it's just like I was saying, focus your intention and then take action from whatever that intention is. Have a plan or strategy in place before moving forward. Taking some time to assess what your next step will be. All great warriors have a plan. You are a sensitive being, and if you are not prepared for the task you are taking on, you could end up feeling exposed and helpless. That's kind of like the Five of Pentacles. The ancestor guidance that is coming to you now is to remind you that you have a warrior's heart and that you have it within you to be more prepared and focused than you have been recently. So have a strategy in place and then let your guide support you as you move forward. I like that. Okay, what are we not seeing clearly with the moon, the Six of Swords, or sorry, the Six of Wands and the Empress? Ooh, I like it. We have Lord. So this is like the Emperor in this deck. So it's the counterpart to the Empress. And it says, take charge with authority. I like that. I like his antlers. Yeah, and I'll read this one too. Just because I love that it came. And there's like, this could represent Aries. Because you see there's, you can see the rams in the back too on his little thing back here. I just featured the Emperor. Oh, I just went right to his page too. That's awesome. Okay, it says, don't be afraid to take charge or use your voice. Be strong. That was perfect. I was communication was like the first thing that came up. Sometimes you have to take control in order to be honored. If you feel that your kindness or gifts are being taken for granted, it's time to change that. There is no excuse for bad behavior, and the ancestors are encouraging you to hold your ground and speak your mind in a freely loving way. Did I not say that with the Queen of Swords? You have the energy and might to overcome dramas or energies that aren't working for your growth, and it's time to take charge before you find yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in. You are being encouraged to be the boss instead of being bossed. This card also brings the energy of ambition and can show you have the potential to move upwards on a professional level, but only if you act with authority and show who you really are. Which I love that. And I was speaking there about acting with integrity rather than acting from our wounds. And when we really know our soul, we're really in tune to this Lord aspect within ourselves, like this Emperor aspect within ourselves who helped us to take charge from a place of, stability, from a place, like, okay, so the Emperor, if you think about it, takes, like, okay, if you're a business person and you're taking risk, or even in a relationship, how do you know it's safe for you to take a risk? So you have to pay attention to your feelings. So if you feel very grounded and you feel very optimistic and you feel very excited about the opportunity and you're taking a risk, then you can probably guarantee that it will be victorious, right? We have the Six of Swords there, or the Six of Wands, which is victory. But if you feel like there's fear, or if you feel like there's, anxiety, or you don't feel stable, and you don't feel grounded, you don't feel connected, which would be like this Devil, Three of Swords, and Nine of Swords energy, then it's probably not the greatest time to take that risk. So I like that too, because it's like the strategy, having a plan. Like, how can you get yourself in this energy of like Six of Cups and Queen of Swords and the Empress and the Lord, and feel very grounded while you're taking these action steps, rather than taking them from this place of like insecurity or not really knowing who you truly are. Very interesting. Okay, so what is your advice with this insanity over here? It's kind of like the word insanity. This Nine of Swords, Three of Swords, and the Devil. This is real for people, though. A lot of people are feeling this fear. They're feeling this entrapment. They're feeling powerless. They're feeling like they have no control. And people love to control. That's kind of like, think of this energy. Like, the Emperor likes to control, likes to have things his way, or the highway, kind of. And we're kind of letting go of that. That's why it's important to be open-minded, to not be so attached. This is like attachment wounds, and you can even see they're kind of chained here. Like, this is attachment. Like, attached to a certain idea of what your life should look like, attached to a certain idea of what your relationship should look like, attached to what, it's like attached to image, attached to the material world, the physical world. And when we're really overly attached to the physical world, when those things are kind of up in the air, if you think about right now, like, those things are kind of up in the air, like our health and our people's jobs and people's homes and being able to provide food, kind of like I said, those things are kind of up in the air. And when we become very overly attached to those things, if those things kind of become scarce, or they become, we begin to freak out because we're overly attached. We begin to have a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety because we've dedicated our whole entire lives to these things that are temporary. And what we're really learning how to do is to find this impermanence, to reunite with our impermanence and know that we are not temporary. Our physical bodies are and our minds are, but our hearts are not. Our hearts are eternal. And we can reconnect with that inner heart, which would be like our soul and our emotions and our feminine energy. Then we know we become very stable within, because we know for certain that we are impermanent, that we're always provided for. And it's kind of like that Empress energy. You just know, you have this internal feeling because you know you're supported by God, and that you're not, you're not temporary. Your soul is not temporary. So, what is your advice here with the Nine of Swords, Three of Swords, and the Devil? Stag, trust and thrive. I like this card too. So yeah, and I think right away I said trust is kind of like the intention. Learning how to trust that you're here and meant to be watching this, and trust that, trust your heart, trust your intuition. Come alive and thrive. Stand in your light and glory with grace and majesty. You have an opportunity to thrive. Trust in all that you have to offer, all your gifts, strength, and power, and make the most of it. You were born to lead, and this can only become reality when you are willing to put yourself in that position. Stag energy allows for you to feel safe because the antlers keep away anything that could interfere with your intelligence and presence, and their strength gives you the power to be agile in your thinking. You are being encouraged to retain your dignity and be proud of who you are and all that you've accomplished. This in turn will give you an even more power to thrive onwards and upwards. And this said, there's more. It says the stag card brings graceful and powerful medicine into your life. In the Celtic traditions, the stag with his crown of antlers is known as the king of the forest and is a totem that brings protection in challenging times. In Native American traditions, he is greatly loved, for stags and deer have provided food for the people and materials that have allowed them to create medicine items such as drums, rattles, and smudge fans. Although the stag has been hunted in the past and still is, he has strength, dignity, and poise. When this card arises, it can also represent fertility and sexuality, maybe an opportunity to explore your sexual side with your spiritual integrity supporting you on that journey, which I love because here the Lord, I mentioned his antlers, and I love that more antlers showed up. And it's funny because even on the Devil card, he has antlers. That's awesome. And when it was talking about sexuality and fertility, that made me think of the Empress. And with the Lord there, it's like the Empress and the Emperor. That's like two, like mother energy and father energy. So that's perfect. And I love the stag. I love the green on the card. There's lots of green on this card too, like earth energies. So, all right. Let's get one final message. Oh, and I love this. Underneath the deck is bask in joy and light, and it's summer. And there's a bee. I love bees. So that might be a synchronicity for you. It's kind of hard to see, but all right, let's get one from Chakra Insights, and then I will end it. So what is your overall message for us today, Spirit? What do you have to say here? How do you want to end this reading? I'll take this one. All right, I love it. That's funny because on that last card I showed you was the bee, and there's a bee on this card. This card is presence. It's number 44, so you might be seeing 44 or 444 a lot. It says awareness, attention, reality, connection. I love it, presence. You can see the little bee there. She's looking at it. Okay, so we'll read this one, and we'll be done. A path of miracles is unfolding right now. In this moment, you must be present to win. In the increasingly hectic lifestyles we lead these days, we are often lured by the pull of multitasking. While our hands and bodies are busy, the mind also tends to busy itself, wandering into the past, the future, and everywhere in between. It has become extremely common, and in many cases acceptable, to be less than fully present in life. Amidst our daily activities, as we work, and even as we commune with friends and loved ones, we are often fragmented and distracted. In this state, we do not even realize the magic we are missing. This card is a bold invitation to bring your presence back to the moment and to see what great gifts are ready to unfold right here where you are. Practice catching yourself when thoughts or actions stray from your immediate experience. Become aware of your thought patterns and gently bring yourself back to the moment with the knowledge that right now you are right where you need to be. Beautiful. Even when a situation genuinely needs to change, often the best first step is to bring our awareness back to what is. When we are busy putting all of our thoughts and energy into the past or the future, we do not see the spiritual support and the blessings that are present in each moment. This card encourages you to gently bring yourself back from dwelling anywhere other than in the now. By being fully present, we are able to recognize and utilize the guidance available to us. Stop for a moment and bring your full attention to this present moment. Bring your awareness to your breath, to your body and surroundings. What can you hear? What do you smell in the air? What would happen if you brought to this moment your wholehearted presence? Allow blessings and glorious new opportunities to flow into your life now, and be fully present to perceive and receive them. Affirm to yourself that you are right where you need to be in this moment, knowing that there are no limits to what the universe can deliver through the doorway of your presence. Be here now. Perfect message to end this reading. I hope this was helpful, because it's like in the presence that the fear no longer has such a tight grip on us, and we can begin to recognize the beauty and abundance and the love that surrounds us. And we open up to new connections, we open up to new conversations, we open up to new opportunities, and we really begin to discover more about ourselves and the people that we're surrounded by. And so I hope this was helpful to you. I hope it was healing for you. I do offer personal readings, so if you would like to book one with me, I'll leave the information below. And I'm sending you so much love, and I'll be back next time.